a tech CEO, Olivia, stands accused of an inappropriate relationship with Archie, the black single-dad handyman she dared to love. Whispers of race, class, and abusive position threaten her empire. When a formal complaint is leaked to the press, escalating into a full-blown corporate sabotage, Archie wavers, suggesting they step back for Daisy's safety. But Olivia, watching Archie's daughter wave goodbye, realizes this isn't just about love, it's a fight for dignity, for justice, for the truth they refuse to hide. Olivia Whitford, CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech firm, lived in a house that mirrored her life, impeccably structured, flawlessly designed, utterly silent. The marble countertops in her kitchen gleamed under recessed lights, reflecting the meticulous order of glass cabinets filled with untouched crystal. Every corner of her Capitol Hill home was a testament to her success. Yet it hummed with an elegant, profound hollowness. She was 40 years old, and her company's imminent initial public offering was set to cement her legacy. A triumph that had demanded every ounce of her focus, every sacrifice of personal connection. She was a leader, known for her discipline, her strategic mind, and her unwavering self-control. But beneath the polished exterior, a deep-seated loneliness resided, a quiet ache that no amount of professional achievement could soothe. She had learned early in life, watching her father lose his hardware store. That vulnerability was a luxury she couldn't afford. She controlled everything, or so she believed, to protect herself from ever being at the mercy of unforeseen forces again. Then, one stormy Seattle evening, the power died. A sudden, violent surge of rain and wind swept off Puget Sound, and her carefully constructed world flickered into darkness. The outage wasn't citywide, it was just her house, a stark reminder of the fragile balance of even the most ordered existence. Frustration coiled in her stomach. A crucial board meeting loomed in the morning, a software demo in 2 days, and her entire home office was offline, victim to a blown breaker panel she was utterly unqualified to fix. She could balance financials in her sleep, negotiate with venture capitalists before breakfast, but wiring, circuits, tools, not a chance, in the near dark. Olivia's palms pressed against the cold marble countertop, her jaw clenched. She reached for her phone, typing in a desperate search, "emergency handyman near me." And with that simple act, the name Archie Turner entered her life for the first time. He arrived 20 minutes later, a solid, grounded figure in the pouring rain, a canvas tool bag slung over one shoulder. Olivia opened the door, and her breath hitched at the sight of him, steady. Dark eyes met hers beneath the brim of a soaked baseball cap. "Evening, ma'am," he said, his voice a warm counterpoint to the storm. "You reported an electrical issue, ma'am." No one called her ma'am anymore, not unless they were trying to irritate her. Yet from Archie, it sounded respectful, old-fashioned, almost gentle. She stepped aside, letting him in, and the fresh scent of rain and cedar subtly permeated her immaculate space. "The breaker shut off out of nowhere," she explained. "Everything in my office is dead." Archie knelt by the panel, his movements sure and confident, his hands, calloused from years of work, knew their purpose. He explained each step as he went, not condescendingly, but inclusively, as if she had every right to understand the intricacies of her own home. When sparks unexpectedly jumped from the panel, Olivia flinched, but Archie didn't. He simply shifted, absorbing the danger, instinctively shielding her with his body, a reflex born of 8 years served in the Navy. In that moment, all Olivia knew was that he stood between her and harm as naturally as breathing. 20 minutes later, the lights flickered back on, filling the kitchen with a steady, comforting glow, a matching warmth, for reasons Olivia couldn't articulate, spread through her chest. "You're good at this," she said, admiration coloring her voice.
Years of practice, he replied, packing his tools. And I try to do right by people. The phrase struck her.
She couldn't recall the last time she'd heard those words spoken without irony. Before leaving, Archie paused, looking at the wood deck through the sliding door. That board's loose, he observed. Could be a tripping hazard. I can fix it tomorrow if you want. Olivia, who usually ran her life by meticulously planned schedules, heard herself say, "Yes, come tomorrow." It was an impulse, reckless and spontaneous, entirely unlike her. But something about his quiet reliability and gentle reserve had tugged at a part of her heart she thought had calcified years ago. So he came back. One day became 2. 2 days stretched into a week. The repairs gradually turned into conversations, and those conversations subtly evolved into a quiet companionship that unsettled Olivia more than any corporate takeover ever had. Archie saw her not as the powerful CEO, but the tired, lonely woman beneath the surface, yearning for truth without agenda. One evening, after fixing yet another minor issue, Olivia asked him if he had family. He hesitated only a second. "Just me and my daughter now. Daisy. She's 7. A warm flutter bloomed inside Olivia at the mention of his little girl. "She's my whole world," Archie said, a gravity in his voice that spoke of love shaped by loss, responsibility born of absence. Olivia wanted to ask about Daisy's mother, but Archie's eyes held a quiet, "Don't go there." So she simply nodded, as he prepared to leave. Olivia, feeling a warmth she hadn't known in years, said, "Thank you for coming back. You didn't have to." Archie zipped his tool bag, his gaze meeting hers. "You asked," he said. "People don't ask me for help unless they really need it." Olivia swallowed. "What if I asked even when I didn't need it?" He smiled, gently. "Then I guess I'd still show up." In the soft lamplight of her polished kitchen, with the rain misting against the windows and the faint scent of pine lingering, Olivia felt a rusted gear in her heart begin its first steady turn. Olivia hardly slept that night, her mind replaying Archie's steady presence at her door, his gentle goodnight. It wasn't merely attraction, it was the profound sense of wanting his quiet strength, his unwavering truth, the way she breathed easier around him without knowing why. By morning, her house felt colder. She made coffee, sat at her marble island, and found herself missing the sound of his voice. She, a CEO known for iron discipline, was unsettled by a handyman with a tool bag in a way no billionaire or board member ever had. At 9:45 a.m., her phone buzzed with a calendar reminder for a leadership meeting, but she walked to the window instead. The deckboard Archie had fixed sat firm and straight, a symbolic repair she hadn't asked to feel. Her phone vibrated again, a message from an unknown number. "Morning, ma'am. Just checking if everything at the house is holding up." She stared at it, then typed, "Everything's fine. Thank you again." She paused, then added impulsively, "Actually, I noticed a few small things last night. Nothing urgent, but if you're free, I'd like your opinion." She hit send, her pulse quickening. A moment later, his reply, "I can be there this afternoon." Relief, sharp and unexpected, washed over her. "What time works for you after I pick up my daughter around 4:30? She wrote, then added, "Daisy," feeling a warmth in her chest at the thought of the little girl. 4:30 is perfect. See you then." The hours crawled. She navigated meetings, approved budgets, handled a minor client meltdown, all while her thoughts drifted to Archie's calm presence, the sound of his tools. At 4:28 p.m., she found herself at the window, a nervous teenager awaiting a prom date, his battered navy blue Ford, a testament to hard work, pulled into the driveway. Archie stepped out, lifting Daisy gently from the passenger side, the little girl clutching a worn purple backpack. Olivia opened the door before they even reached the porch. "Hi, Daisy," she said, her voice softer than intended. Daisy beamed. "Daddy said you have a big house." Archie cleared his throat. "Now, Daisy, we don't say things like—" Olivia laughed softly. "It's all right. She's honest." Daisy darted inside, exploring with the earnest boldness of a child raised on love. Archie looked apologetic. "Sorry, she's curious about everything." "Curiosity is a gift," Olivia replied. "I wish we kept more of it as adults." Archie set down his tool bag. "So, what needs looking at?" Olivia's mind scrambled. Nothing truly needed fixing. She just wanted him there. She pointed to a cabinet hinge. "This was squeaking last night." He tested it. It was silent. Olivia felt her cheeks warm. But Archie, with a curious, amused glance, simply said, "I can oil it for you. Better safe than sorry." He worked neatly, quietly, exuding a patience that filled the room. Daisy, perched on a bar stool, proudly declared, "Daddy fixes everything." Archie groaned in embarrassment. Daisy insisted, "He fixed my toy horse and the shelf in my room and the toaster when it tried to eat my bagel." Olivia stifled a laugh. "Well, that qualifies as heroics in my book." Daisy grinned. "Daddy's a hero all the time." Olivia glanced at Archie, his shoulders tightening as if absorbing words he didn't feel worthy of. "I just do what has to be done," he murmured. He moved to the sliding door, and Olivia followed him onto the deck. "What else needs attention?" she asked, lying again. "I think the railing's a little loose." He tested it. It was solid. His brow lifted in quiet inquiry. "Ma'am," he said softly, his gaze seeing more than she wished he did. "You know you don't have to make up things for me to fix." The words landed like a warm, honest stone in her stomach. She couldn't answer. He waited, then offered a lifeline. "But if you want company." His voice dropped just a little. "That's something I can show up for, too." Her breath caught. No man had ever spoken to her that way, without agenda or ego, with such simple truth. I think I just enjoy when you're here." "I know," Archie said quietly. "I can tell." A flush crept up her neck, but instead of stepping back, she moved a fraction closer. "Does that bother you?" "No," he said simply. "It humbles me." Daisy's voice called from inside. "Daddy, can I have a snack?" The moment softened. "Duty calls," Archie said, a faint smile touching his lips. Inside, as Daisy ate apple slices. Olivia watched them through the window, Daisy chattering, Archie listening with the attentiveness of a man who cherished every detail of his daughter's life. It was a picture of warmth she had never experienced in her own childhood. A safety, a steadiness that made something deep inside her ache. Archie reluctantly looked toward the door. "We should head out. It's a school night." Olivia walked them to the porch. Daisy hugged her tightly. "Bye, Miss Olivia. I like your house." "I like having you here," Olivia said, stroking her hair. Then Archie, standing one step below her, his voice deep, said, "If anything else needs fixing, you know how to reach me." "What if it's not the house that needs fixing?" she asked before she could stop herself. Archie paused, then replied, "I'll still show up." As they drove away, Olivia realized the truth with stunning clarity. She wasn't falling in love. She already had. The next Saturday arrived with Seattle's soft, reluctant sunlight. Olivia stood at her kitchen sink, replaying her conversation with Archie. "If you want company, I can show up for that, too."
It had been decades since anyone offered her anything with no strings attached. She felt a flicker of disappointment that he wasn't there yet, though he hadn't said he'd come. The house felt too quiet, too tidy. Then, 3 soft, polite chimes from the doorbell. She opened the door to find Archie with his tool bag, and beside him, bundled in a lilac jacket, stood Daisy, smiling as if she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. "Good morning, ma'am," Archie said, slightly sheepish. "Daisy insisted she wanted to help me check the deck again." "Miss Olivia," Daisy piped up, "Daddy said you might need extra eyes." Olivia felt her heart loosen. "I'm very lucky to have both of you here." Daisy darted inside. Archie winced. "Sorry. I told her to wait until you invited her in." "She's welcome," Olivia said, truly meaning it. Daisy wandered, announcing, "Your house smells like lemons." "That's because Miss Olivia likes things clean," Archie said. "I like things clean, too," Daisy declared. "But Daddy says I make tornado messes," Archie muttered. And Olivia tried not to laugh. Archie set his tool bag near the sliding door. "I figured I'd just take another look at that railing in the deck. Make sure everything's safe." Olivia nodded, but there was a slight withdrawal in him, as if he wasn't sure where he stood. She led them to the porch. Archie knelt, testing the deck board. "Still solid," he murmured. "Should last you years." Olivia watched his methodical movements, the quiet care. It reminded her of the simple comfort of being looked after. Daisy tugged Olivia's sleeve. "Can I help Daddy lets me hand him tools?" "Of course," Olivia said, crouching. "Which tool do you like giving him best?" Daisy's eyes widened. "The hammer." "But Daddy says maybe when I'm 8. Archie snorted. "When you're 20. Daisy giggled, fetching a screwdriver like a sacred offering. Olivia felt something warm uncurl inside her. Archie worked. Daisy supervised, and Olivia hovered, until he stood. "All good," he said. "You're safe." The phrase struck her. He didn't say the house was safe. He said she was safe. Olivia leaned against the railing. "You know, you didn't have to come today." Archie looked away briefly. "I know, but you did." He chose his words carefully. "Sometimes people don't want to be alone on weekends." Olivia felt the statement land with quiet accuracy. "I'm fine," she said reflexively. "Of course you are," he replied gently. "But being fine ain't the same as being okay." The truth of that reached deep. Daisy broke the tension. "Daddy, can we sit outside? It's sunny." "A little," Archie said. "For Seattle." Olivia gestured to the porch chairs. "Please stay for a bit." They sat Archie hesitantly, Daisy swinging her legs, Olivia across from them with coffee. The porch became a small world sun-warmed wood, damp cedar, a distant lawnmower. "Do you always work Saturdays?" Olivia asked. "Most weeks," Archie said. "Work's steady. Good folks need help with small things. Keeps food on the table." "Archie works all the time," Daisy added. "But he's still the best daddy in the whole planet." Archie cleared his throat, embarrassed. "She's generous. She's observant." Olivia corrected gently. Their eyes met, a brief look holding respect, tenderness, and a cautious warmth. Daisy hummed. Olivia watched her, confident, happy, secure, and felt a tug in her chest. "You okay?" Archie asked quietly. "Yes," she said, then paused. "No, I don't know." He nodded, understanding that life was heavier for those who carried everything alone. She looked at her coffee. "I don't know how not to." "You learn," he said simply. Daisy suddenly hopped off her chair. "Miss Olivia, do you have juice?" Yes, Olivia said. Let me get you some. From the kitchen. She watched them, Archie listening to Daisy's pony story, Daisy glowing under his attention. The picture pierced her with an ache she couldn't name. She returned with juice, and Daisy leaned against her leg. Archie watched with unguarded hope. He stood. We should go, he said reluctantly. I need to get Daisy home. Olivia walked them to the door. Daisy hugged her tightly. Bye, Miss Olivia. I like your house. I like having you here, Olivia said, stroking her hair. Archie faced her. Thank you for letting us stay a while. Felt peaceful. She swallowed. Come back anytime. He met her gaze. I will, he said softly. If you ask. She didn't answer. He took Daisy's hand and disappeared into the gentle Seattle Sunday. Olivia stayed on the porch, feeling not emptiness, but possibility. Olivia's affluent Seattle neighborhood was engineered for privacy, not community, by Monday morning. However, she felt an undercurrent, a subtle shift. Mrs. Garrison, her neighbor, offered a tight smile, then flicked her gaze pointedly toward where Archie's truck had been parked. Active weekend you had, Mrs. Garrison commented. Olivia forced a relaxed posture, but felt the sting beneath the sugar-coated words. Later that afternoon, two neighbors gave her stiff nods, their eyes following her car. By the time she reached downtown, a weight had settled on her chest, not panic, but anger at the smallness of her world, at work. She overheard two co-workers. She had some guy over, a handyman. Did you see his truck, tall guy? Rough look. Definitely not her type. Maybe she's having some kind of midlife thing. CEO dating her repairman. That's messy. Olivia stood stiff as stone, gripping her phone. She swallowed bitterness, straightened her shoulders, and walked out. In her office, she pressed her forehead against the glass, whispering, Why does it matter to them? She knew the answer. It just angered her more. That evening, a message from Archie. How was your day, ma'am? Everything holding up around the house, she typed back. The house is fine. People are something else entirely. Seconds later, he called. Something happened, he asked. My neighbors noticed your truck, she said finally. Some coworkers made comments. Silence. A knowing silence. Of someone who had lived this truth far too many times. I'm sorry, Archie said quietly. I didn't mean to bring trouble to your door. You didn't, she replied firmly. They did. Still, he murmured. I don't want to make things harder for you. You didn't, she repeated, refusing to let him take responsibility for what wasn't his fault. People can be ignorant. That's not on you. He sighed. Doesn't matter who it's on. It's just something I'm used to. The resigned tone struck her. You shouldn't have to be used to it, she whispered. I know, but that's the world. Olivia walked to her back porch, phone pressed to her ear, staring at the boards Archie had repaired, glowing in the gold of early evening. Do you regret coming here? She asked. No, Archie replied instantly. Not even for a second. Her breath hitched. Good. But, he added, I don't want you to regret having me there. I don't, she said, folding her free arm across her stomach. I regret living in a place where people think they can judge us. The word us hung in the air, even in the dim light. Archie seemed to hear it. His voice dropped. Us. She closed her eyes. I didn't mean... Yes, you did, he said gently. And that's okay. She sat on the porch steps, what this is yet. Me neither, he said, but I know it's real. Her throat tightened. Yeah. It's going to get harder before it gets easier. She swallowed. I know. You sure you're okay with that? The honesty shook her. There were two worlds colliding, hers, built from privilege, his, from resilience. The space on her porch was a bridge too narrow for others to walk without judging, but she found she didn't care about them. I'm not scared, she said. Not of this. Archie breathed out, a sigh of relief. Then neither am I. They didn't speak for a moment. The silence, a shared shelter. I'll let you rest, he said finally. Long day. Thank you. Archie, good night, ma'am. Good night. She hung up, but stayed on the porch. The neighborhood was quiet. Too quiet. A curtain rustled across the street. A car slowed a little too long. She felt it again. The watching, the whispering, the judgment. But beneath it, something sturdier. Anchored. She looked at the deck board Archie had fixed. She whispered into the gathering night. Let them talk. And for the first time, she walked back inside, not feeling alone, but protected by a truth she couldn't yet name. Olivia had attended hundreds of corporate events, but tonight felt heavier. The air carried a glossy tension. It was an event for major partners, and Olivia's heartbeat pressed against her ribs, not because of the event, but because Archie was outside, waiting to carry equipment. He'd offered. Simply. Some of that tech gear can be heavy. I'll help you bring it in. She'd wanted to decline for his sake, not hers, but something in her chest whispered, let him help you. She slipped away, inhaling the crisp evening air as she walked toward the loading area. Archie was easy to spot. Grounded, steady, unloading a heavy case from his truck. Evening, ma'am, he said, with that soft half-smile that always steadied her. Didn't mean to keep you waiting. You're early, she said, surprised by the warmth in her voice. Couldn't risk being late, he replied, lifting the case with practiced ease. Didn't want you hauling this alone. Thank you, she murmured. They stepped inside, and Olivia immediately sensed it, the subtle shift, the glances, the sudden hush. Who's that with her? Someone whispered. Maintenance security. He doesn't fit in here. Olivia clenched her jaw. Archie didn't seem to hear, focusing on lowering the case. This goes here, he asked. Yes, thank you. No one offered to help, despite 3 junior associates chatting nearby, falling silent as if unsure how to react to him beside their CEO. Anything else you need from the truck? Archie asked. Just one more case, she said. I'll go with you. No need, he said gently. I'll grab it. As he walked away, Olivia turned toward the bar before she'd taken 3 steps. Philip Walsh, an influential partner, stopped her. Olivia, he said. Interesting choice of assistant. He's not my assistant. Then what is he? Philip asked, with a smile too sharp to be friendly. He's a friend, she said firmly. A friend from where? From my life, she replied. Outside this building. Ah, he said, leaning in. Well, I suppose every woman goes through a phase where she wants something different, rough around the edges, exciting. She took a slow step closer. Say what you mean. Philip. He shrugged with false innocence. He's obviously not our circle. A beat or your circle? Olivia stared, a cold, steady fury rising. Thank you for your concern, she said, voice like polished steel. But I'll decide who belongs in my life. Be careful, he warned lightly. People talk, and it's not a flattering look. She was about to respond sharply when Archie returned, carrying the last case. His neutral expression couldn't hide the faint tightening of his jaw. He'd heard enough.
"Where do you want this?"
he asked quietly. "Right here," she said, guiding him, as he set the case down. Philip gave a dismissive laugh and drifted away. Olivia felt a burn behind her eyes, anger. "Archie," she said, "I'm sorry you had to hear that."
"It's okay,"
he said softly. "I'm used to it." "But you shouldn't be." His eyes softened.
"Olivia, don't apologize for other people's ignorance." She exhaled, shaky. Still, they had no right. They never do. He glanced around the luxurious hall, then back at her. "You shouldn't have to defend me." "Why not?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "Because this is your world," he said, "and I don't fit in it." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I don't care if you fit the room. You fit my life." His breath caught. A powerful, warm, honest silence settled between them, but the moment fractured when Derek Collins approached. "Everything okay here?" he asked with a thin smile. "We saw the help walking around and weren't sure if security needed to be notified." Olivia's head snapped toward him. "Derek, I'm just saying no," she said, her voice carrying. "You're not saying anything worth hearing." A few people turned. Derek looked startled. "Olivia, perhaps we should—" "Archie is with me," she said loudly, for all to hear. "And if anyone here has an issue with that, they can consider it my issue with them." The room froze. Archie's eyes widened, not in fear, but disbelief, gratitude. Derek muttered and retreated, face flushed. Olivia turned back to Archie. "I'm sorry," she whispered again. Archie shook his head gently. "Don't be sorry." He gazed at her with a softness that seemed to unravel something inside him. "Just thank you." He stepped back. "I should go. Daisy's waiting." "Of course," she said, her voice low. "Drive safe." He nodded once, then walked toward the exit. Tall, steady, dignified. Olivia watched him, her heart pounding, as he disappeared. She realized she no longer cared about the whispers or expectations. She cared about the man who had walked out to protect his dignity. She wasn't just defending a man, she was choosing a side. Olivia woke the next morning, the confrontation clinging to her like a bruise. Yet, one moment shone clear Archie's face when she told him he belonged in her life. She had spoken it without fear, without permission, because it was the truest thing she knew. Now, at her kitchen sink, she wondered if she had been too bold, too willing to name something neither of them had defined. Her phone vibrated. A message from Archie. "Morning, ma'am. Hope today's smoother than last night." She exhaled. "It already is. Thank you." A few seconds passed. Then, "If you're free later, I'd like to talk." Her pulse fluttered. "I'm free," she wrote. "Anytime. I'll come by at 5. The hours crawled. At 4:52 p.m., she abandoned pretense and drifted to the window. At exactly 5, the soft crunch of tires on gravel. She inhaled sharply, smoothed her blouse, and walked to the door. Archie stood there, not with his tool bag, but with his hands in his jacket pockets, eyes serious. "Hi," she said, her voice lower than she intended. "Hi," he echoed. "Can I come in?" She stepped aside. He walked in slowly, and she led him to the porch where the evening light stretched in long, warm ribbons. They sat, neither speaking at first. The quiet felt anticipatory. Archie leaned forward. "I owe you something," he began softly.
Honesty. Olivia clasped her hands. I'm listening. He looked at her, his eyes softening. Last night meant something to me. When you stood up for me. No one's ever done that. Not like that. Not in a room that size. Not with people who could hurt your career. I didn't think about them, she said. I thought about you. His expression shifted surprise, warmth, disbelief. And that's what scares me, he admitted, because I want to think about you, too, more than I should. Olivia felt the world tilt around that confession. It's not wrong to want something real, Archie, she whispered. Even if it's complicated. He looked down at his hands. Complicated doesn't cover it. You're a CEO. People look at you like you're untouchable. And You're a father, she said gently. A veteran. A man who shows up. A man who fixes what's broken. Don't reduce yourself for my world. His jaw tightened. You make me feel like I'm enough. Like I'm worthy. You are. He lifted his gaze, and the honesty struck her like a warm blow. I haven't felt that way in a long time. She leaned slightly toward him. Archie, what are you afraid of? He hesitated. Losing what little stability I've built for Daisy, and losing you before I even have you. The confession unraveled something inside her. Archie, she said, voice trembling. I'm not going anywhere. His breath left him in a slow exhale. He looked away, then back with a half smile filled with gratitude. You say that like it's easy. It's not easy, she said. Nothing worth anything ever is. You sound like someone who's done a lot of hard things. I have, she admitted. But this, she gestured between them. This doesn't feel like something to run from. He sat back, watching her. You're something else, Olivia. So are you. Silence folded over them, warm this time. Can I tell you something? She asked. He nodded. When you left the party last night, I realized something. I didn't want you to go, not because I needed help, not because I was embarrassed, but because the room felt colder when you walked out. Archie inhaled long and deep. Olivia. She held up a hand. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just telling the truth. Truth is dangerous, he murmured. No, she said softly. Truth is healing. Then, Archie leaned back, his expression without defenses. You matter to me, he said. Olivia's throat tightened. You matter to me too. For a long moment, they simply existed together. Then Archie rose. I should pick up Daisy, he said. But he hesitated. I'd like to see you again properly, not just to fix a hinge or check a deck board. I'd like that too, she said. Tell me when. I will. He stepped toward the door, then turned back. And, Olivia, yes. Thank you for seeing me. She stood. Thank you for letting me. He gave her a look that lingered between hope and promise before stepping off the porch. Olivia watched him walk away, her heart full. She stood alone beneath the dimming sky, understanding with a clarity that felt like dawn breaking across a long night that Archie Turner hadn't just stepped into her home, he had stepped into her heart. The next few days softened the edges of Olivia's world. Work still demanded attention. Emails piled up, but underneath, a steady warmth flowed every morning. She checked her phone, hoping for a message from Archie when his name appeared, short, solid, uncomplicated. Something inside her unfurled. On Thursday afternoon, reviewing quarterly projections, her phone buzzed with a text. Got time for dinner tomorrow, somewhere quiet. Just us. She didn't breathe for a full second. Then she typed, "Yes, I'd like that." A moment later, "I'll pick you up at 6. No man had offered to pick her up in years. Men in her circle met on location. At 6 o'clock sharp the next evening, a low, familiar rumble rolled up her driveway. She watched Archie step out of his Navy Ford, freshly washed and shining. He wore a clean button-up shirt, sleeves rolled, dark jeans. Her heart warmed. She went to the door, opening it just as he reached the top step. He stopped, looked at her, and for the first time, he didn't hide the awe in his eyes. "You look." He exhaled, slow and reverent. "Beautiful." Her breath caught. "Thank you." He cleared his throat. "Ready?" She nodded, grabbed her coat, and stepped outside. He held the passenger door open for her, a simple, respectful gesture that tightened her chest. When she settled in, and he closed the door gently, she felt a surprising rush of safety as he slid into the driver's seat. The air in the truck shifted, warm, steady. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere decent," he said with a small grin. "Not fancy, just honest." As he drove, rain began to dust the windshield. The heater hummed gently. City lights blurred into gold smudges. For the first time in a long time, Olivia allowed silence to feel comfortable. Archie tapped the steering wheel lightly. "Daisy was excited I was going out tonight." Olivia smiled. "She really is a bright kid." "She is," he said, pride threading through every syllable. "She asked if I was taking you to Disneyland." Olivia laughed. "That's ambitious. She thinks anyone I smile about must be important." The warmth in that statement lingered, settling over her skin. "Do you smile about me often?" she asked quietly. Archie's grip tightened for a fraction of a second. "More than I should." She looked out the window, letting the confession melt into her. They arrived at a small restaurant tucked along the waterfront. Warm lights, wooden beams, the smell of grilled salmon, and the gentle lap of waves. Archie looked almost apologetic as he parked. "Hope this is all right. This is where I take Daisy sometimes when we celebrate things." Olivia paused, touched. "Are we celebrating something?" He looked at her with quiet seriousness. "Yeah, we are." Inside, the server greeted Archie by name. "Evening, man, your usual table. If it's free." "It is." Their table was by the window, overlooking the dim waterfront. As they sat, Olivia felt the intimacy of the space settle, soft, unforced, deep. "I picked this place because it's simple, real, nothing to pretend about here." "I like real," Olivia said. "I've had enough pretending in my life." He nodded, his expression softening. "Me, too." They sat in comfortable quiet. Finally, Olivia asked, "What did you want to talk about?" Archie took a slow breath. "I want to be careful with this," he said. "Careful with you, with us, whatever this is." Her pulse fluttered. "I'm listening." "I wasn't planning on anyone," he admitted. "Not for a long time. My life's built around Daisy. Everything I do, work, time, decisions, it all circles back to her." "As it should," Olivia said. "She's a lucky girl." "And I'm a lucky man," he said quietly. "But that means I don't move fast. I can't. I won't bring someone into her world unless I know they're safe." Olivia held her breath. "Do you think I'm not?" "No," he said gently. "I think you're very safe for her and for me." She felt her chest warm. "Then what are you afraid of?" "I'm afraid your world could hurt us," he whispered. The word struck her, truthfully. "My world has sharp edges." she admitted. I know that. And people in your world? He paused. They look at me like I don't belong. They do, she said, anger flashing. But they're wrong. Maybe, Archie said. But I've seen enough to know that people like that can make things hell for someone like you. And what about you? She asked. Do they make things hell for you? I'm used to it, he said. But I don't ever want Daisy thinking she's less because of who her daddy is. Olivia reached across the table, tentatively. He didn't pull away. Their hands met halfway. Archie, she said softly. I would never let anyone treat her that way. His eyes softened. I know, that's what scares me. Scares you? Yeah, he murmured. Because I'm starting to trust you. The words wrapped around her heart. And that's dangerous, she asked. A small smile tugged at his lips. Yeah, because I think I'm already in too deep. Olivia exhaled, her chest tightening with something dangerously close to joy. Good, she whispered. Because so am I. The server arrived with their meals, breaking the moment, but not dissolving it. They ate quietly, exchanging small smiles, soft glances, stories about Daisy's school projects, Olivia's childhood, the bridges they'd built to survive. By the time they left, the rain had stopped. They walked slowly back to the truck, their hands brushing before Archie finally took hers, his palm warm and steady. Words felt unnecessary. At her house. He walked her to the porch. The air was cool, misty, quiet. He stopped at the step below her, looking up with a tenderness that weakened her knees. I had a good night, he said. So did I. Can I see you again? Olivia smiled. Yes, whenever you want. I want. He exhaled. More than I should. Then take it, she whispered. Take whatever time you need. He reached up, brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear, slow, careful, reverent. Good night, Olivia. Good night, Archie. He stepped off the porch, looked back once, and she knew. She felt it like a second heartbeat, that they were no longer standing on opposite worlds. They were standing at the first step of something real, something brave, something worth fighting for. And as his truck disappeared, she whispered, Let it begin. Olivia woke the next morning with a quiet hum beneath her ribs, a warmth that lingered. She smiled into her pillow. But reality knocked. Her phone buzzed with notifications, emails, missed calls, group chats. Her stomach tightened. Her chief communications officer messaged, Call me as soon as possible. We have a situation. Then Derek, We need to talk now. Then a screenshot from her assistant, a blurred photo of her on the porch, close to Archie, his hand brushing her cheek. The anonymous caption read, Our CEO entertaining late-night company. Interesting choice. Olivia sat up, heart pounding with fury. She threw on a robe, pacing, trying to breathe past the rising pressure. 3 sharp raps at her front door. She closed her eyes, knowing who it was. Derek Collins stood on her porch, indignation disguised as concern. Olivia, he said, stepping inside without permission. We have a problem. She shut the door. Good morning to you, too, Derek. This isn't the time for humor, he snapped. Have you seen the posts circling? Yes, and you didn't think to call me. What exactly was I supposed to say? That a neighbor with too much time and too little dignity took a photo of my private moment. Private? His laugh was cold. You're a public figure. Nothing is private for you. And certainly not something like this. She swallowed her anger. Something like what? Derek, a relationship with a man who... He stopped himself, but the words hung in the air. She stepped closer. Finish the sentence. Derek's throat bobbed. You know what people will assume. No, she said. I want to hear your assumption. Silence. Heavy. Cowardly. That he's beneath your status, he finally said. That this makes the company look unprofessional. Unprofessional, she repeated quietly. Right. Olivia people are already asking if he's an employee. If you're abusing your position. She blinked. He's not an employee. Doesn't matter, Derek paced. Optics matter, you know this, and right now, the optics are terrible. For whom? She asked. For me or for you? He spun around. For all of us. This company cannot weather a scandal, especially not one that involves race, class differences, and rumors about... Her voice cracked like a whip. Stop talking before you say something you can't clean up. Derek froze. She held his gaze until he looked away. Get out, she said quietly. Olivia, get out. He obeyed. When the door shut, she let out a long, shaking breath, hands trembling with rage at the smallness of the world she'd built her life inside. The phone buzzed again. A message from Archie. Saw the photo. You okay? She stared at the screen, her chest tightening. Then she typed, Come by, please? 20 minutes later, Archie's truck pulled into her driveway. He stepped out, slow, cautious, reading her house like a battlefield. When she opened the door, he immediately searched her face. You all right? He asked softly. The question undid her. She stepped aside. Someone took a picture of us, she said quietly. Posted it. People are talking. My board got involved. Derek. She stopped, swallowing the sharp edge of hurt. Archie exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. I'm sorry this is happening. It's not your fault. Maybe not, he said, but I'm part of it. She shook her head quickly, stepping closer. No, the problem isn't you. It's them. It's their assumptions, their prejudice. Archie met her eyes with his calm, steady truth. You knew this would happen. I didn't care, she whispered. I still don't. He looked down, jaw tightening. But it's hitting you. Yes, she admitted. And it hurts. I don't ever want to be the reason you hurt. She took another step toward him. You're not. They are. He didn't argue, just breathed slowly, controlled. This doesn't scare me, he said finally. People have talked about me my whole life. Won't lose sleep over strangers. But you worry about me. Yeah, he said. I do. She reached for his hand. He let her take it. They stood in the quiet of her foyer, two people from two different worlds, facing a storm neither had asked for. Archie, she whispered, her voice cracking. Do you regret this? Any of this? He lifted her hand and pressed it lightly against his chest, right over his heartbeat. No, he said. Not for a second. Emotion rose in her throat. I don't regret it either. He brushed his thumb across her knuckles. But this is the part where we decide if we're running from the fire or walking through it together. Olivia felt something ignite inside her. Not fear, but clarity. I'm not running, she said. Not from this. Not from you. Something in his face softened into relief. Wonder. Then neither am I, he said. But we gotta be smart. I know. And honest. Always. And strong, he murmured. Because the world's about to push back even harder. She held his gaze unwavering. Let it push. Archie stepped closer until their foreheads nearly touched. "You sure about that?" She nodded once. "Yes." And there, in the quiet of her home, they made the most important decision yet. We face it together. The storm around Olivia had been building for days, gossip tightening its grip. On Saturday morning, as a soft mist rolled across the neighborhood, Daisy stood at Olivia's door, clutching a coloring book. Archie hovered behind her. "Hi, Miss Olivia?" Daisy chirped, unaware. Olivia's heart softened. "Hi, sweetheart. Come in." Daisy darted inside. Archie met Olivia's eyes. "What's wrong?" she asked quietly. He exhaled. "Daisy overheard some things at school yesterday. About me. About us." Olivia blinked. "Kids were talking. Not the kids. Their parents. Daisy repeated some of it this morning, and I didn't like what I heard." Olivia felt a chill. "What did they say?" Archie hesitated. Daisy had wandered to the living room. He lowered his voice. "One kid told her that you're trying to buy me. Another said that people like you don't really care about people like us." Olivia's stomach dropped. The cruelty of adults distilled into children's mouths. "Archie," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. She didn't deserve to hear that." "No," he said, voice strained. "She didn't." Daisy looked up from the sofa. "Daddy, can I show Miss Olivia my picture?" "Go ahead, baby girl," Archie said gently. Daisy held up a page, purple skies, a crooked house, a smiley sun, 3 stick figures holding hands, 1 tall man, 1 tall woman, a small child between them. Olivia's breath caught. "Is this us?" Daisy nodded proudly. "Yep, this is you and Daddy and me. I drew it 'cause that's my favorite." Olivia felt something tremble inside her. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Thank you." Daisy beamed. "I like when Daddy smiles, and he smiles with you." Olivia glanced at Archie. He looked away, jaw tensing. "Daisy," she said softly, "can I ask you something?" "Uh-huh." "At school, when kids said things about me and your dad, how did that make you feel?" Daisy shrugged. "Sad." "Why sad, sweetheart?" "'Cause they said you were bad, but you're not bad. You're nice. And you like my hair?" Olivia swallowed hard. "I do. I like your hair very much." Daisy continued. "I saw Daddy's face yesterday. He was sad, too. So, I want to come here today so he can smile again." Olivia's throat tightened. Archie cleared his throat, looking at the ceiling. Daisy leaned closer, whispering loudly. "Daddy really likes you. He even wears his good shirt when he sees you." Olivia pressed a hand over her mouth. "All right, kiddo," Archie said, guiding Daisy toward the living room. "Why don't you draw another picture while I talk to Miss Olivia?" Daisy hopped away happily. Once she was out of earshot, Archie exhaled. "That's why I came," he murmured. "Not because of what kids said, but because of what it did to her. She's stronger than all of us." "Yeah," he replied, "but she's still a child. I need to protect her." "And you think being connected to me puts her at risk?" Olivia said. A statement, not a question. Archie met her eyes, pain unmasked. "Yes." The words struck like a stone. She looked down, heart twisting. "Not because you've done anything wrong," he added quickly, "but because people don't know how to mind their business. They don't know how to see past their own walls." Olivia lifted her gaze. "Do you want to walk away to keep her safe?" The question hurt to ask. Archie stepped closer. "No," he said firmly, "but I need to be sure we're strong enough to handle what's coming." "We are," she said. "We decide that, not them." His jaw flexed. "Olivia, You've got a career that puts you in every spotlight. Everything you do gets magnified. And I've got a daughter who just wants to draw pictures and believe the world is fair." "And you want to protect her innocence?" Olivia murmured. "Yeah," he whispered. "I do." "You should," she said. "But don't protect her from love. Protect her from hate." Archie's eyes softened. "What if the hate gets louder?" "Then we get louder, too," Olivia said. "Not with noise, but with truth." He shook his head with a quiet, pained laugh. "You make everything sound so simple." "Not simple," she corrected. "Just worth it." Archie stepped closer, his breath warming her cheek. "You really believe that?" "Yes, even after today, especially after today." He searched her face. After a long moment, he spoke. "All right," he murmured. "Then we move forward one step at a time. Together." "Together," he repeated. Daisy peeked around the corner. "Daddy, Miss Olivia, I made a new picture. It's us again, but with a dog." Archie sighed, smiling for the first time. "We don't have a dog, Daisy." "Not yet," she said, running over. "But maybe someday." Olivia laughed softly as Daisy climbed onto the couch. Archie looked at her. The woman who had stepped into his world with quiet courage and stood her ground, even when it cost her. "Someday," he repeated, meeting Olivia's eyes, and in that single word, she heard everything he wasn't yet ready to say. Monday arrived sharper than usual, the sky over Seattle heavier. Olivia sat in her office early, hours before the building filled, her hands wrapped around a mug gone cold. Over the weekend, she had held steady, grounded by Archie's presence and Daisy's innocent drawings. But today, she walked into the heart of the storm. Her phone buzzed. Emergency board meeting 9:00 a.m. She closed her eyes. The board never called emergency meetings unless they considered something a threat. Lately, that threat was her personal life. When the hour approached, she stood, straightened her blazer, and headed down the hallway. The long glass corridor reflected her face back at her, a woman who looked calm, but whose heartbeat pounded. At the boardroom door, her assistant, Marcy, paused her. "They're all here, and they're tense." "I expected that," Olivia said. "Thank you." She entered the room. 12 faces turned toward her, some guarded, some judgmental. Derek sat near the center, jaw tight. She took her seat at the head of the table. "Let's begin," she said. The general counsel cleared his throat. "Olivia, as you know, the situation involving the neighborhood photo and subsequent discussions has escalated." She tilted her head. "Escalated how?" "Investors reached out. Some senior partners have concerns about the company's brand identity and public image." "I see," she said. "And what exactly is the issue that I may be in a relationship, or that the man I'm seeing doesn't look like the men you expected me to choose?" A ripple moved across the room, unease mixed with surprise. Derek leaned forward. "Olivia, please. This isn't about race." "I'd love to believe that," she replied calmly. "But unfortunately, the comments suggest otherwise." She tapped her tablet. Screens around the room lit with online posts. "She's slumming it. Who is the black guy in the picture? Is she trying to be relatable? This looks unprofessional for a CEO."
"Does their HR policy cover relationships with laborers?" she heard Derek hiss. "Turn that off, Olivia." "Why?" she asked. "We should all see exactly what we're dealing with." Silence spread. Finally, the general counsel spoke. "Public opinion aside, We're here to determine whether your actions undermine your position. She leaned back, unshaken. My actions, yes, he said. Your personal choices may affect the company. We need assurance that the situation will be rectified. Olivia folded her hands. Define rectified. Derek spoke quickly. The board thinks it would be best if you distance yourself from him, at least publicly, until things calm down. Distance myself, she repeated tonelessly. You're suggesting I change my personal life for the comfort of strangers? Derek stiffened. I'm suggesting you think about your responsibilities. I am thinking about them, she said clearly. More than others in this room are thinking about their biases, the general counsel interjected. Olivia, no one is telling you not to live your life, but optics matter. Optics matter more than integrity, she asked. Optics matter more than how we treat people. Optics matter more than truth. No one answered. She leaned forward, her voice sharper. Let me tell you who this man is. He is a veteran. He is a father. He is a man who works honestly, who shows up when he says he will, who takes care of the people in his life without expecting anything in return. He is steady, decent, kind, and he has more character than half of the people sending these anonymous comments. Derek shifted uncomfortably. Olivia? No, she said. I'm not done. The room held its breath. I built this company. I led it through crisis. I've worked harder, sacrificed more, and carried more weight than anyone in this building. And if you think I'm going to let a handful of neighbors, biased investors, or small-minded board members dictate who I am allowed to care about, then you've forgotten who I am. A beat of silence, then another. Finally, one board member, a woman in her 60s who'd always respected Olivia's leadership, spoke softly. No one doubts your ability, Olivia. But we need assurance that this won't turn into a public relations disaster. Then let me handle the public relations, Olivia replied, as long as you stay out of my personal life. The woman nodded slowly. Another board member cleared his throat, muttering agreement. Derek looked around, realizing the room was slipping from his grip. We'll reconvene in a week, the general counsel said. For now, no action. Olivia nodded firmly, gathered her tablet, and stood. The meeting adjourned, but Derek followed her out into the hallway. You're making a mistake, Olivia. His voice was sharp. She stopped, turned. What mistake to choosing him? Derek said bluntly. He's going to cost you. She stared at him, steady and unafraid. Derek, everything worth having costs something, including dignity. His face reddened. Just think about it. I have, she replied, walking away. Have you? She left the building with her shoulders high, but when she slid into her car, the adrenaline faded. Her hands trembled. She inhaled deeply, willing her pulse to slow. She had stood her ground. She had told the truth. But part of her worried not for herself, but for Archie and Daisy. The world wouldn't stop pushing. She drove to Archie's house without thinking. When she parked, Daisy was outside, chalk drawing on the sidewalk. Miss Olivia, she squealed. Look, I drew us again. She ran over, grabbing Olivia's hand. Archie stepped out onto the porch, pausing when he saw Olivia's face. Bad day? He asked. Eventful, she said. Board meeting. Yes. How bad? She walked closer, her voice lowering. They told me to distance myself from you. Archie stilled. Daisy wandered back to her chalk drawings, humming softly. And what did you say? Olivia lifted her chin. I said no. Archie's breath left him in a slow, shaken exhale. He stepped down from the porch. You didn't have to do that. Yes, she whispered. I did.
She reached up and touched the edge of his jaw. You matter to me, and I won't pretend you don't. Archie's eyes softened into something deep, unguarded. Then we keep going, he said. We keep standing. Together, she murmured. Together. He echoed. And as Daisy drew 3 smiling figures on the pavement, Olivia realized the truth at the center of her life. The world could push all it wanted, but some things were worth standing for until the ground stopped shaking completely. The week after the emergency board meeting passed with the tense quiet of a city before a storm. People stared a little longer. Conversations stopped abruptly. Emails came in careful, measured language. Everyone seemed to be waiting for Olivia to break, to retreat, to confirm their assumptions. But she didn't. She worked. She led. She moved through the world with dignity sharpened by truth. Still, the pressure pressed deeper until Friday morning when an email arrived that shifted everything. It came from legal. Olivia, a formal complaint has been submitted alleging that you engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a non-executive individual who may be receiving benefits or preferential treatment. As protocol requires, we must review the matter. The inquiry will begin Monday. General Counsel. Olivia stared at the screen. Not breathing. Not blinking. The words blurred, then sharpened. A complaint, she whispered. They actually filed a complaint. She knew who had done it. Derek. Of course. It was Derek. This was retaliation for being challenged. This was his way of pushing her back into the box he believed she belonged in. Her chest tightened. This wasn't just about reputation. Now, this was about power. And power abused became something far uglier in justice. She stood abruptly, grabbed her coat, and left the office. She drove straight to Archie's house when she arrived. He was repairing a loose gutter, standing on a ladder while Daisy played with chalk on the porch steps. Daisy spotted her first. "Miss Olivia," she shouted, waving. "Look, I made a butterfly." The moment Archie heard her voice, he looked down. His face broke into a soft, tired smile, one that faded when he saw something off in her expression. "You okay?" he called down. She shook her head. "No." His boots hit the ground within seconds. He wiped his hands on his jeans and approached her slowly, like someone preparing to catch a falling glass before it shattered. "Tell me," he said. She handed him her phone with the email pulled up. He read it once, then again. His jaw clenched. "They're coming after you," he murmured. "Because of me." "No," she said firmly. "Because of them." He exhaled sharply. "Olivia, no," she repeated. "I won't let you blame yourself for the cruelty of men like Derek." But Archie stepped back, shaking his head. "This is bigger than gossip now. Bigger than posts and whispers. This could damage your career. They're trying to twist this into something ugly." "It's not ugly," she said. "What's happening between us is the only honest thing in my life." "Honest or not," he said, "they can use it against you." She took a step forward. "I don't care." "I care," he snapped. Louder than she'd ever heard his voice. Daisy looked up, startled. Archie caught himself, softened his tone. "I care," he repeated. "If I'm the reason you lose everything you've built, I don't know how to live with that." Her heart twisted. "Archie, I'm serious," he whispered. Maybe we should step back just for a while, just until this settles." The words hit her like cold water. She stared at him, stunned, hurt. "Step back. It's safer," he said. "For you and for Daisy." "You think distance will protect us?" she asked. voice trembling with disbelief. You think stepping back will make people less cruel? Maybe not, he admitted. But it'll make the target smaller. Archie, she said shakily, I don't want a smaller life. Something in his eyes cracked, revealing the fear beneath. I just want you safe. Then stand with me, she whispered. Not away from me. He shook his head, torn. I don't know if that's the right choice. It's the brave one, she said. He stared at her, long, tortured, before looking down, unable to hold her gaze. I need to think, he murmured. The words sliced through her, not angry, not cruel, just true. And that truth hurt more than any insult her board could throw. She nodded, voice barely audible. Okay. Daisy looked between them, confused. Did I do something wrong? She asked. Olivia knelt immediately, gathering the little girl into her arms. No, sweetheart. You did nothing wrong. Nothing at all. Daisy rested her head on Olivia's shoulder. Are you sad? Olivia pressed a kiss to Daisy's hair. A little. Daddy gets sad sometimes, Daisy said. But I draw him pictures and he feels better. Olivia smiled through aching eyes. You're very good at that. When she stood, Archie was watching her with aching regret. Regret she couldn't carry for him. I'll go, she said quietly. Give you time. He nodded once slowly. She walked to her car, each step heavy. She didn't look back until she reached the driver's seat. In the mirror, Archie was still standing there, hands on his hips, eyes locked on her like a man fighting himself. Daisy waved both arms wildly. Bye, Miss Olivia, I love you. The words struck like lightning. Olivia smiled weakly and whispered, I love you too, sweetheart. Then she drove away. The moment she reached her home, her phone buzzed again. Her assistant's name. Reporters are calling. Someone leaked internal information about the complaint. They're asking if you want to make a statement. She placed the phone down with trembling hands. Someone had leaked it. This was sabotage. Deliberate. And it wasn't just about her career anymore. It was about dignity, justice, truth. She inhaled deeply, heart pounding, then whispered aloud into the silence of her kitchen. I will not let them choose my life. At that moment, she understood something fundamental. This wasn't a love story anymore. This was a fight for Archie, for Daisy, for the woman she refused to stop being, for the truth she refused to hide. The next morning, Olivia stood at her kitchen island, a cold resolve settling in her chest. The fear that had tightened Archie's jaw the day before, the vulnerability in his eyes when he spoke of protecting Daisy, had ignited something fierce within Olivia. She was no longer just defending her personal choices. She was fighting for the very fabric of truth and decency that Derek Collins sought to unravel. She wouldn't let them diminish Archie, nor would she let them twist their honest connection into a weapon against her. This was a battle for dignity, and she was ready for it. She picked up her phone and called Marcy, her assistant. Marcy, cancel my appointments for the first half of the day. I need you to gather every email, every internal memo, every security log related to Derek Collins's conduct over the last 6 months. Pay particular attention to anything involving my personal life or the IPO timeline. Marcy, ever efficient, responded immediately. Consider it done, Olivia. What's the target? Derek, Olivia stated, her voice like polished steel. And his entire rotten agenda. Later that morning, Olivia met with a loyal, long-time board member, Mrs. Albright, the woman in her 60s who had shown support during the emergency meeting. They sat in a quiet cafe away from the office, the aroma of coffee filling the air. Olivia laid out the situation, the anonymous photo, Derek's manipulations, the leaked complaint, and Archie's own fears for Daisy. Mrs. Albright listened, her expression unreadable but attentive. "Derek has always been ambitious," she finally said. "But this level of malice, it's new and dangerous." Olivia nodded. "His actions threaten not just my career, but the integrity of this company. I believe he's trying to destabilize my leadership ahead of the IPO to position himself, or someone else, for a hostile takeover." Mrs. Albright's eyes sharpened. "A hostile takeover. You have evidence." Olivia explained her plan to use Marcy to dig into Derek's past communications and activities, particularly any unusual stock activity or undisclosed meetings. "I'm asking for your support," Olivia concluded, "not to cover anything up, but to expose the truth and protect this company from internal corruption." Mrs. Albright took a slow sip of her coffee. "You're playing a dangerous game, Olivia. Derek has powerful friends." "So do I," Olivia replied, thinking of Archie. "Now, are you with me?" Mrs. Albright met her gaze. "I've always believed in this company, and in you, Olivia. Let's see what we can find." The alliance was forged in the quiet hum of the cafe, a fragile but determined front against Derek's calculated malice. Back at her office, Olivia received a text from Archie. "Thinking about you. Everything okay?" She paused, then typed, "Getting things in order. Wishing I had your steady hands for a different kind of repair." He replied almost instantly, "I'm here, if you need me." Olivia smiled. She then called Archie. "Archie," she said, "I need your help, not as a handyman, but as an ex-Navy veteran who knows how to spot things others miss. I need you to look at our building's internal security systems." She explained Derek's likely attempts to conceal his actions. "I suspect he's been manipulating digital footprints, perhaps even accessing areas he shouldn't. Can you help me trace it?" Archie's voice was serious. "I might not be an IT expert, Olivia, but I know how to follow a trail, especially when someone thinks they're being smart about covering their tracks." He agreed to meet her after hours to conduct a covert audit of the building's infrastructure. His knowledge of physical security, combined with Olivia's executive access to digital logs, would create a formidable investigative team. "This is risky, Archie," Olivia warned. "If Derek finds out, he'll come after you too." "He's already coming after me," Archie replied, his voice calm. "And Daisy. So, let's give him something real to worry about." His unwavering resolve fortified Olivia's own. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about fighting for the values he embodied and the future he and Daisy deserved. Over the next 2 days, working late into the night, Olivia, Marcy, and Archie meticulously pieced together Derek's nefarious activities. Marcy, with her keen organizational skills and access to company communications, uncovered a series of suspicious emails. Derek had been subtly undermining Olivia's decisions in private communications with investors, planting seeds of doubt about her leadership in the run-up to the IPO. He had also scheduled several undisclosed meetings with a shell company, Phoenix Investments, a firm known for hostile takeovers. The dates of these meetings curiously aligned with periods of negative press about Olivia's leadership. Meanwhile, Archie, leveraging his intimate knowledge of the building's physical and digital security infrastructure, discovered anomalies in the access logs to the company's server room. Using his veteran's eye for detail, he found that Derek's executive keycard had been used late at night, not to access official company data, but to subtly alter security footage archives, specifically blurring or deleting segments that might show his unauthorized meetings or the moment the complaint against Olivia was uploaded to the neighborhood forum from within the building's network. Archie also uncovered evidence of Derek's personal financial struggles, including substantial gambling debts, providing a clear motive for his desperate actions. "He wasn't just trying to shame you," Olivia, Archie observed, showing her a screenshot of a massive debt owed to a private lender. He was trying to crash the IPO so Phoenix Investments could buy us out cheap. He was getting a cut. Olivia stared at the screen, a cold fury burning through her exhaustion. He was trying to destroy my life and this company for money. And prejudice, Archie added, his voice low. Don't forget that. The climax approached on Monday morning. The legal inquiry, orchestrated by Derek, was set to begin. Olivia, however, called for an emergency board meeting before the inquiry could convene, demanding Derek's immediate presence. The boardroom was tense, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Derek, oblivious to the extent of Olivia's investigation, wore a self-satisfied smirk. He believed he had Olivia cornered. Olivia began the meeting by acknowledging the unfortunate complaint and expressing her regret that private matters had become a public spectacle. Then, her tone shifted, becoming sharp and authoritative. However, she declared, this is no longer about my personal life. It is about corporate sabotage, unethical conduct, and a deliberate attempt to undermine the integrity of this company. She then unveiled her findings. Marcy projected the incriminating emails and financial irregularities related to Phoenix Investments onto the large screen. She showed the board how Derek had systematically undermined Olivia, sowing doubt among investors. Then came Archie's moment. He stepped forward, a quiet but commanding presence in the polished room. He displayed the manipulated security footage, clearly showing Derek's unauthorized access and tampering with the video archives. He highlighted the precise moments Derek had uploaded the anonymous post to the neighborhood forum from within the building, proving the leak was an inside job and a direct attack. The room gasped. Derek's face, initially smug, slowly drained of color. He stammered, attempting to deny the accusations, calling the evidence fabricated. But Olivia, anticipating his defense, had a final, devastating blow. She presented authenticated records of Derek's gambling debts, explaining his motive to crash the company's value for a quick, substantial payout from Phoenix Investments. The board members, many of whom had initially judged Olivia, now stared at Derek with a mixture of shock and disgust. Mrs. Albright stood, her voice resonating with authority. Derek, your actions constitute gross misconduct, corporate espionage, and a direct threat to the financial stability of this company. This board will not tolerate such betrayal. Derek, defeated, could only look down at his hands, his carefully constructed facade utterly shattered. Derek was immediately removed from his position and faced severe legal repercussions, including charges of corporate espionage and fraud. The scandal, while initially damaging, ultimately strengthened Olivia's company. She issued a public statement, not as an apology, but as a firm declaration of the company's commitment to integrity, diversity, and an inclusive culture. She openly acknowledged Archie's crucial role in uncovering the truth, praising his unwavering character and sharp insight. This act of transparency, and her willingness to stand by her personal choices, earned her a new wave of respect from both her employees and the broader business community. The IPO, after a brief dip, rallied strongly, fortified by a renewed sense of trust and ethical leadership. Olivia established a new internal ethics committee, with Mrs. Albright at its head, and implemented a mentorship program for employees from diverse backgrounds, ensuring that talent and character, not status or privilege, would define success within her company. Archie was offered a permanent, dignified role within Olivia's company, specifically as the head of a new Facilities and Security Integrity Department. Recognizing his unique blend of practical skills, military-honed observation, and unshakable moral compass. The position came with flexible hours, allowing him to always prioritize Daisy, and a salary that finally offered them true financial security. He accepted, not out of obligation, but because he saw an opportunity to do right by people on a larger scale. Olivia, once so isolated by her success, now found a profound, genuine connection with Archie. Their relationship, forged in the fires of public scrutiny and corporate sabotage, blossomed into a partnership built on mutual respect, unwavering honesty, and a shared commitment to building a better world, starting with their own. Daisy, thriving in her new environment, made friends easily and continued to draw cheerful pictures, often including Olivia and Archie alongside her. The three of them, a new kind of family, created a home filled not with sterile perfection, but with laughter, warmth, and genuine love. On a soft, misty Seattle afternoon, Olivia, Archie, and Daisy sat on the now repaired deck of Olivia's house. Daisy, her curly hair bouncing, chattered happily about her school day, nestled between them. Olivia leaned her head against Archie's shoulder, feeling the solid strength of him. The world could push all it wanted, but they stood firm, together. She had found not just a partner, but a purpose, and a family that redefined what true wealth and success truly meant. It was a legacy built on courage, integrity, and the quiet, extraordinary power of love.